people shoot for fun. AK-47 beat and 3 stripe AK-15.
Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. I know it's been a long one. Today is going to be a quick hot take. Today I want to talk about why you guys shouldn't necessarily be taking all of your advice from a perspective of an infantryman, right? You guys actually need to think of guerrilla tactics, partisan tactics, ways of the Minuteman, okay? We're not going to be using the same logistics supply chain. And what I'm talking about here is magazine capacity and how many magazines you should have on your person as a Minuteman, as a guerrilla fighter, right? There's been recently some videos put out and people coming up more with this debate, throwing around the conversation more on the YouTube, you know? So what I want to talk about here is the minimum amount of magazines that you should have as a Minuteman, as a guerrilla fighter, as a partisan, or somebody who cares about this country and cares to protect our freedoms, okay? If you guys are somebody who has a fighting load, a fighting kit ready for any potential SHTF scenario, there's no reason at a minimum you shouldn't have 7 to 8 magazines on loadout on standby at all times, okay? Anyone who says otherwise, in my strong opinion, is trying to give you into a mindset of being more likely to be disarmed or lose a gunfight, okay? The one who loses the gunfight is the one who runs out of ammunition first and the one who stops firing rounds. First of all, to begin with, winning every gunfight as a guerrilla fighter or as a Minuteman is never going to have to do with always firing a shot. If we're ever finding ourselves in a scenario where we're up against a conventional force, a modern military force, there's no way we're going to be able to take them on head on as like the tip of the spear. That's just not going to happen, you know? You're going to have to strike and retreat. You're going to have to use guerrilla tactics in different ways that you could become a disruption. But as a civilian, as a modern day Minuteman, there's no reason you should have a plate carrier with only 3 magazines on a front placard and that's it. There's nothing wrong with that for your go to range day, for your quick range session. But if you're talking real duty usage, SHTF, you need ammunition, you need magazines for you and yours. You need to have a good amount on hand, on taps at all time. That's why I keep in my taps rig, I keep 8 magazines ready to go and I keep more in other supply boxes, you know? 5.56 was literally created to be able to carry a large amount of ammo without it weighing too much compared to things like 7.62x39, 7.62x51, or other said calibers that are going to hinder your capability of carrying large amounts of ammunition and it not weighing you down or being too encumbersome because the magazines or the bullets take up too much space. What I'm talking about here is a video that Trench Grenade recently came out with. He's always coming out with some different hot takes, but I strongly believe this and I'm not going to change my opinion on this one. If you guys are a modern day Minuteman, if you consider yourself a guerrilla fighter, somebody who trains for this, for specific potential serious scenarios, without rule of law, civil collapse, you know, SHTF society, you guys need to make sure you have at a minimum, like I said, I repeat, 7 to 8 magazines, as well as having other capabilities, other ways to back that up. We are not going to have the backup and logistics supply chain of the U.S. Army, and there's no reason why you should be thinking of somebody who has that type of backup. If someone's giving you advice to not have so many magazines, but they also have air support on their side, why are you listening to this person? They do not run with the same budget that you have. They don't have the same logistic backup. They have 10 times more and 10 times more of the budget than you will ever have. You know, these are people that are working for the government, and you have to remember this. This is not your modern day Minuteman. This is not your guerrilla fighter. This is a guy who trains infantrymen. And you guys need to realize he's giving advice that he would give to infantrymen. If those men run out of ammo, they're going to get a supply crate of more ammo dropped on them, or they're going to get it drove into their location through Humvee or whatever case might be at MREP. They're not going to need what they have on their person 100% of the time because they could have more supplies dropped to them that's waiting to be dropped to them at the press of a button, at the command of their location. So you guys need to understand this subject, really understand what it takes to be a modern day Minuteman and the difference between our supply chain, their supply chain, our logistics and their logistics, our budget versus their budget. It's completely different. Most of us are working off of individual household budgets and whatever your week to week or weekly paycheck is, you know? You guys need to really calculate that and be like, is it realistic for me to only carry 3 to 4 magazines or 5 magazines, or should I carry a little extra just in case I'm anticipating whatever might happen? It shouldn't hurt you. It shouldn't be a hindrance on your body to carry 7 to 8 mags and 3 more in your pack. That should be nothing. And if that's too much weight for you, then you need to get in the gym and do more exercise. I'm not gonna rant onto you guys about fitness within the prepper community or being a guerrilla fighter. You should already know this. This should already be something that's ingrained within you. You should already be doing your cardio, doing your weekly rucking or your weightlifting, whatever the case may be, whatever you like to include yourself in for your fitness regimen. But you need to stay on top of it, and you need to take it as something of utmost importance and seriousness, because that's really one of the main priorities. If you're not fit enough to carry the gear, then it doesn't matter how many magazines you have. You can't even move a mile. Okay? Make sure you guys are staying fit. Make sure you guys are staying up to date with your skills needed to be a Minuteman, regardless if that has to be with firearms training, tactics, land navigation, learning how to garden, things like that, learning comms, communication. There's a bunch of different ways you guys could peel this onion. And there's a bunch of different ways you could be an asset to your community rather than a liability without being a rifleman, okay? Being a rifleman is important, and having the capabilities of doing that is important, but everybody is not gonna have that job, and it doesn't make sense. Even in the military, everybody does not have that job. We are not the military. We are modern day Minutemen or guerrilla fighters. So we have to think of ourselves differently and try to approach things as a whole. That's why I say, try to learn gardening, learn your comms and communications, learn land navigation, all the stuff involving being a proper modern day Minuteman. Let me know what you guys think. How many magazines should you carry on your person in an SHTF scenario or without rule of law collapsed society? For me, it's gonna be 7 to 8 magazines. That's just the good medium. That's the infantryman standard nowadays. It's actually 7 magazines, but you could up it or lower that capacity depending on what you like. I'm more thinking of a recon perspective. I'm not planning on kicking any doors. I'm not planning on being SEAL Team 6. That's not what we are. We're MIL Team 6, whatever you want to call it. I know people like to make that joke, but that's not what we are. We are not special operators. We are not infantrymen. We are not going to do these direct action raids. It makes no sense. You're just going to lose men. There's going to be an attrition rate, and your team's just going to die. There's no reason of ever trying to take that kind of action against a modern day conventional military force. It's just going to be a failed plan of action, and most likely you guys are going to get slaughtered by air support or some type of higher artillery. So with that being said, let me know what you guys think. What is your thought process behind being a Minuteman, guerrilla fighter, a partisan, somebody who's ready to defend themselves, their freedom, and their country? Okay, do you guys have proper fighting loadouts ready? Are you one of those tactical Joes who thinks having 3 magazines on the front like MIL Team 6 is going to be proper? Very interested to know your guys' thought process on this, and to know, do you guys have the same type of mentality of a lot of the other people out there who think 3 magazines is going to be enough? Because I could tell you, I could go through 3 magazines just laying down fire in one direction, you know, just doing some suppressive fire. Just a quick 1 drill at the range, that's 3 mags. And it's done. It goes just like that. So having 6 magazines is a good start. Having 7 to 8 makes me feel more comfortable. It makes me feel like I got 6. That's good for a small engagement. And then I got 2 to 3 more on top of that, plus 3 more in the pack. Sounds like a lot of weight, but like I said, you should already be carrying the weight. You should already be used to carrying the weight and used to having your physical fitness up to a certain standard. If you're elderly, diseased, or disabled based off of certain life events, that's unfortunate, but like I said, everyone within the community doesn't have to be a rifleman. Everyone has their own ways to be an asset to themselves and their community. Just make sure you guys are taking it of something that's important, you know, make sure you guys are actually applying yourselves where you need to be applied. Make sure you guys are doing the training where it needs to be done. All right, it's just a quick video I had to come out with, and I've been seeing a lot of false information for people in from our perspective, the modern day Minuteman, militia fighter, guerrilla fighter, whatever you want to call it. I'm just an American. You guys should be more well equipped than the average infantryman when it comes to magazines, in my opinion, because the infantryman is going to have air support. He's going to have backup on a higher logistic supply chain scale than you could ever imagine. So make sure you guys are doing your job. Make sure you guys are trying harder, and make sure you guys aren't always only listening to guys on YouTube like me or Trench Grenade, as well as body armor. If you guys are in the civilian sphere of tactical gear, I think you guys should have body armor. There should be no reason why you guys are not investing in having ways to stop bullets. You know, that's just common sense to me. If you have access to body armor in your region, in your area, and you haven't got you some plates, get you some plates, build a plate carrier that's properly set up, start training in it, get used to the weight, and Be able to outfit yourself for different scenarios. You may need body armor for whatever specific scenario could come your way. And it could also be a helpful thing to have in a home defense scenario. If you have enough warning ahead, all it takes is about 5-10 seconds to put on your plate carrier. That could stop you from dying in a self-defense shootout in a home defense scenario. So let me know what you think. Obviously, in every home defense scenario, you're not going to throw on a plate carrier, but would you if you had the time, if you had the warning on the cameras and you've seen what was coming? I know I would. And like I said, let me know what you think. Comment down below what you would select for your magazine loadout when it comes to a SHTF loadout on your chest rig, your pack, whatever the case may be. How many mags are you going to choose? I'm choosing 7 to 8 magazines. But like I said, I hope you guys went on to enjoy today's video. I know it's been a while since I released one. Just been working on some life problems and getting things situated. Hope you guys went on to enjoy it, and this FP out.